Welcome to the first in a new series from FocusHoops, where we look and speak to the next generation of young players in British basketball. We've got some exciting young talent in this country, and we're here to highlight some of them. And I'm very excited to be joined by Yazmin Edwards from Ipswich Basketball Club for our very first episode. So, Yazmin, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being my first guest on.
Thank you for having me.
It's great. How's your summer been? Are you getting a break? Or are you out on the court?
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I do enjoy this time, like the off season, because it's a lot of time like to develop and work on like individual things like by myself. So I do like this time in the season. It's been good.
Oh, that's great. Is there anything particular you're working on, any particular moves?
Yeah, shooting is a big part of my game that I definitely want to develop and have next season and use more. So I've been trying to work on that and really just change my shot overall.
Yeah. Well, so you play for Ipswich Basketball Club, but you play for the WNBL Division 1 team. You play for the academy team in the WABL, and you also play for the under-18s in this season past.
Yeah.
How does that work? That's a lot of basketball to be playing.
Yeah, it is a lot of basketball to play. We've made it work, I guess. I mean, training, is can be quite demanding at times when you have it pretty much every single day. But I think seeing like the ending results of like winning games and stuff like that really just drives and motivates you to want to keep going, even though it can be hard at times.
And does it help when because you kind of have the same core, don't you, playing through the different teams? Obviously, Division 1, you have some older players like Saru. Well, older, she's not, she's still very young.
Yeah.
But you kind of keep that core together. So does that help you get like a bit of consistency?
Yeah, it really does. You can definitely tell in our games how well we work as a team because, like, the through under 18 all the way to the women's, like the team kind of stays the same. Really, it is just the older players, but then we've been playing with them since last season, so it just really works.
And what's it like having some of the older players like Serena Gudza to go to, who's kind of been through the same pathway as you? Does she give you any advice?
Yeah, Serena's really, really good at advice. Yeah, she was our team captain for academy this year, and like her team talks on court and off court really do help. It is quite nice to have someone there you can look up to and you can always talk to about that like on court kind of stuff. It's nice.
That's awesome. That's really good. So speaking of the under-18s team, you had a very, very successful season with them this year. So if we go back to January, you're in the under-18 National Cup up here in Manchester for the final, and you were playing Cola. Now that's a team that you've Ipswich and Cola, so there's a little bit of I want to say rivalry, but you meet up quite a lot, and
Yeah.
they were a team that you'd maybe not been able to beat before, and you did in the National Cup in quite a dominant fashion back in January, and you took home a very well-deserved MVP, 27 points, 7 rebounds, shooting 55% from the field. Can you just talk a little bit about what that experience was like in that game?
If I'm being honest, I didn't go into the game expecting that at all. Like the games leading up to, I wasn't being that consistent. I mainly just wanted to play well. I wasn't really looking to get MVP in that game. It was mainly just about doing well. But it was a great feeling, like looking up at the scoreboard and seeing how well I was doing. It was a weird feeling, I hadn't felt that before, but it was a really nice feeling to have. And I think overall, just being with the team, like winning a game against Cole, who are a really good team, it was just felt so good to beat them.
That's amazing, and your game plan, it just worked so well. You were able to close them down like in a way that I hadn't really seen another team do before then.
Yeah, I know that. We worked really hard in training to figure out how we can go against them, like how we can change our defense and adapt it. Because, like I said, they are a really good team and they're quite hard to go up against. But our technique definitely did work in January. Yeah, it did.
And from a neutral fan point of view, I always think you and Cola together are quite a fun matchup because they play a lot in the paint, in the post, and they're quite defensive heavy, whereas you guys are just fast and go out and shoot a lot. So I always think like it's quite a contrast in styles, but I think it's fun as a game to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
So then after the National Cup final, you were in the junior Final Fours in the playoffs in April. You took down the Manchester Mystics in the semi-finals, and then you faced Cola again in the final in what was for me, that was one of the best games I've watched all season. Like, it was such a great advert for women's basketball, and not just at any level. For me, it was such an exciting game. Ipswich came away with a 3-point win, and it was down to the wire again. What was that like? Because that was quite a different game to the one back in January.
Yeah, I think going into that game, we definitely didn't think it was going to be like an easy win or anything, because we did do well against them in January. We were definitely ready for them to come back, and like it'd be harder. I think it was nice though, the atmosphere. It was nice to have like a close game like that as well, like the adrenaline rush and everything, and like seeing everyone in the crowd just cheering and all that kind of stuff. It was definitely quite a nice game to finish on for under-18 season.
Because as well, were there quite a few players on that team that was it, kind of the under-18s group? You had a few players that are moving on.
Yeah, there's Liv, Christopher, me, and Ella, who that was our last Olivia, sorry, that was our last under-18 game, and I think definitely winning it felt so much more better, because although we would have been happy no matter what, because at least we got there and it was a great experience, but winning it definitely felt like that much more just better overall.
And that's a really special way to end, like you say. You mentioned the atmosphere. So something I noticed, like Ipswich fans, they travel very well, and Manchester's not very close to Ipswich, and it's so loud in there. Like, I can sometimes barely hear myself when I'm trying to commentate the game. How do you hear that on court? Do you get that, like, you feel the support behind you, and it kind of hypes you up?
Yeah, you feel it quite a lot. Like, although it's hard to hear while you're on court, because you're kind of blocking everything out and trying to focus on the game. It, like, during timeouts, you can just hear like the crowd screaming and everything, which really does like motivate you. And when you can hear it in the background, that there's people behind you supporting you, and they want it as much as you do. Like, it's not just us players on court who want it; they want it as well, and it just drives you to do even better. It's quite nice. They do travel very far, 4 hours for that.
Yeah. And there's like they're making noise. I always see Ethan Foster in the crowd with his drum, with a bin, whatever he can find.
Yeah.
So, and in that game as well, you and Liv combined for 50 points. You had 20 points and a casual 15 rebounds. Now you're a guard. How do you get 15 rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds as well? How do you get yourself into those positions?
Well, I think one of the things is, like, my coach always says to me, he's always just crush the boards, like, every time. So, I mean, I have that in my head just to think, as soon as the ball goes up, try and get the rebound, either go back up, or if we're going the other way, push the ball down the court. So I think that in my head is just making me think that I need to try and I can jump very high, I guess, because I used to do athletics where I did high jump. So I've had like training and technique and stuff like that. So I think that obviously helps as well.
I feel like that explains a lot. That, like,
yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
So one of the things that I enjoy watching you play, and me and Adam Masters again have spoken about this, is just your off the ball work, like how hard you work defensively. You never stop moving on the court, and you just hustle after every ball. I've now coined the term the Yaz Edwards play. We were talking about it at the Aspire finals the other week. Someone's just diving on the floor after the ball. It's the Yaz Edwards play. Is that something? Have you always played like that, or is that something you've kind of learned to develop?
Yeah, I think I've always played like that. Like, from a young age, I've always been quite like a fast player, but I've not always had like the technical side, like shooting and stuff. So I've always tried to be better at all the other things, like hustling for the ball, rebounds, and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely think it's something that I've always been like when playing on court.
And it's such a crucial thing. Like, people don't always notice it because it doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Like, you could force 10 jump balls, but you don't see that on the stat sheet. And I always think it's a really underrated skill, because it, you knock the ball out of bounds, you make the offense have to set back up again. You take some time off the clock, and it's just such a crucial thing to do. And you do it so well in the game. Do you kind of try and set the tone as well, and have other players on the team kind of learn from how you're playing like that?
Yeah, I remember my coach saying in the semi-finals game at Final Fours, because of how like aggressive and stuff like that we were being with the ball and on the ball, he was saying that it was just setting the tone for the rest of the game, and it was like making other players on our own team, following that, and we all started being aggressive and playing hard on ball. It was really good. Like, I feel like when one person does something, the whole team kind of follows. So it works like that. It's really good.
And I also see sometimes you see plays like that, or like a player taking a charge, and the bench gets just as excited as they do as someone's like opening a long three or something. It can really pump up the team.
Yeah, it's amazing, especially when we play. Like, we do really support every single person on court, and as you said, like the bench do go crazy, and it's nice when you're on court and you just see that support. It's really nice.
And so I was speaking to Liv after the game. She was the MVP of that game, and she was just saying how much she enjoys playing with you, how amazing it is to have seen you develop, and to get to play with you in practice, and the link up that between the two of you. Like, you're both two very fast guards that can score, and it works. Sometimes that might not work, but it works really well with the both of you. And I feel like the dynamic is really, like, you this year, from the start of this year, you've been able to see how well it works. Do you enjoy playing with Liv in a situation like that?
I love playing with Liv. I honestly love playing with Liv. I love, like, because obviously I drive a lot and go to the basket, and it's not always there. Like, I can't always go up and just try to score, but I always know that she's just somewhere, like, ready to shoot a free, and I always manage to find her. And it's the same when she's got the ball, she's the other end of the court, she's got great passes, just connects, and I can score. Like, it's really nice to play with her. I love playing with her.
So 3 of your 4 assists in that final game went to Liv on 3-pointers, I found. I was like, that makes sense.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So as a team, as well as a whole, you've got Louisa Gibbons down inside. You've got a great post player. And again, Louisa, a player that doesn't have to, she doesn't have to score to affect the game. She's her presence inside. How is it playing again with a big like that as a guard that you can play off?
Playing with Louise is also really good. I do like that. I feel like it's another player where when she's not got the ball in hand, she's still doing a lot, which helps like us on the outside. So she'll be setting screens and stuff like that, like pick and rolls. She's very, very effective on the court, like no matter what she's doing. Very effective. Like rebounds as well. She had, I can't remember how many rebounds, but in the semi-finals game, she had quite a lot. It was definitely in double figures, which, that helps the team a lot, with rebounds and stuff. So playing with her is very good as well.
I feel like she has at least 10 every time I see her do something.
Yeah, she does. She does.
So going back again to the start of the year, so Ipswich and Cola were invited to the WBBL Trophy this season. So you got to play at the Trophy weekend in Essex, and you faced the Sheffield Hatters in the WBBL. So what was that like? Were you there for the whole weekend, or did you just go up for your game?
We only went up for our game. Obviously, it was a bit unexpected that we were going to be there in the first place, but I do think that we all really enjoyed it. Like, it was a great experience to play against players who already had so much experience, and you learn from them players when you play against them. And going against players like that is challenging, but you really do develop in watching them and just seeing how they play. And they are a very, very good team. I was sitting on the bench just watching it, and it was just like really nice to see how well they all knew each other. Like, they just knew each other's strengths and weaknesses. It was really cool.
And I think you see that, don't you? Because with Sheffield, obviously, some players like Helen Naylor, Hannah Shaw, Nicolette Fairley have played, and Georgia Gale as well, have played together for a while. And you just think, because you're still so early on in your career, that 5-10 years time, if you were to meet up with Liv and play somewhere, it would be like that.
Yeah.
So if we just jump back a bit, I probably should have started with this, but what got you into basketball? Did you play at school, or was it family?
It's quite funny, actually, because I tried out for the basketball team in primary school, because I did like every sport, and I didn't make it. And I thought, I don't like this sport anyways. Like, I didn't understand basketball because I played netball a lot, so I thought, oh, like, it's not that good anyways. But they didn't have enough players, so they kind of just threw me into the team because I was quite athletic, and they just said, look, we need another person. So we went away to a tournament, and I got scouted there. Like, quite a few people got scouted, but I got scouted there, and I started attending like Ipswich Basketball's under 12s category, where you just like develop through there. And then I've just been playing since then. So I started playing quite late. I think I was like 11 years old when I started playing.
So like 7, 8 years you've been playing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's so impressive. Like, I thought you were going to say like you were 2 and dribbling the ball around?
No, no, definitely not.
Wow, that's wild. And you mentioned you were into athletics as well. Was there a point, are you still able to do that as well, or did you have to kind of pick and commit to that?
So I did athletics before I did basketball. Like I've always been a very fast runner, so straight away my parents wanted me into sports. They put me into athletics, which is where I also did like long jump and high jump, and that translates into basketball. Like being able to run fast helps with driving, then rebounding, stuff like that. I've had training, like so much technical training on how to jump properly, how to run properly. So you can see it reflects in my basketball. But I think there was a time where I had to pick between basketball and athletics. And I remember I had like 2 years until I had to pick because training was on the same day. So it was Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays I'll go to athletics, Thursdays I'll go to basketball, but I couldn't keep doing that. So in the end, I did pick basketball because it just felt like more of a family thing there, where athletics is more of an individual sport, like where you're just doing your own event. So I enjoyed playing basketball, having a team to play with, and just meeting new people all the time. So I chose basketball.
Oh, wow. Do you still run for fun or anything? Like,
I can't, like, there's no time because of the academy, we train every day and stuff like that. I definitely would love to do athletics again. Like, I do miss it quite a lot, but I have more fun playing basketball.
yeah.
So, and I get to do similar stuff in basketball anyways.
Yeah. Could record you the next time you jump and see how high it is.
Yeah, probably should.
So, and you've been with Ipswich throughout, so from under 12s up to now. And you mentioned it, like the teammates being like a family. You get that impression when you see the team on the sidelines. Do you get to spend a lot of time off court together in the limited amount of time that you've got when you're not practicing?
Yeah, I mean, we all go to school together, so we're always together. I mean, if we're not at school, then on the weekends we either got a game or we're watching games at home or like away. So we're always together. We're a very close team overall, and it does really work off court, which I think helps with the chemistry on court.
Absolutely, yeah. You can see that as well. That's fantastic. Is there someone that who's in charge of the music when you're on the bus when you're sorting it out, or are you all kind of just individually?
Nick, he loves to play his music on the bus. I just put my headphones on straight away. If I'm being honest, his music's good, just not what I want to listen to before a game.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so how long has Nick coached you? Has he been there since you started, or just new levels?
I think going to the academy was the first time being coached by Nick. And if I'm being honest, I used to be quite scared of Nick. I never could talk to him alone. I'd always have to have someone come with me if I needed to talk to him. So it was quite scary my first year playing for him. But then I got to know him. He's just the most supportive person like I've ever met. Like he literally puts his players first before himself. It's quite nice to see. Yeah. And like, I always feel like I've got some sort of support system at the academy because he's always ready like to listen to you talk about anything, even if it's not basketball related. He'll help you on or off court. It's really nice to have. So I'm not scared of him anymore, but I used to be scared of him.
That's so important. Is he just a big softie off court when he's not shouting on the sidelines?
Yeah, I don't know how he feel about me saying that, but yeah, he definitely is.
I'll say that I said it, so we can. So what's one of the things that you've been most proud of this year that you've achieved for you personally on the court?
For me personally, is definitely just going on court, which sounds weird, but I didn't play hardly any games last season because of my nerves and the anxiety I had before going on court. And I used to get very worked up before games. I used to have to go and like throw up before a game because of how nervous I got. So like Nick would look down the bench and I'm just not there because I have to go and because I'm all like worried about before going on court. So I didn't play a lot of games. And I just think through summer, I look back on that and it's just not how I wanted like my next season to go. Yeah. So I remember like I just worked so hard to not be like that for the next season. And I know I could do it. Like I know I could be a good player, but I just needed to believe in myself. So I think I'm definitely proud of how far I've come since last season, and it is a very big jump since last season.
That's amazing. Yeah, because you've been playing a lot as well this season.
Yeah, I mean, I was starting for women's for a few games early on in the season, and then I started for academy for like towards the end of the season, and obviously I played a lot in under 18s and started, which I didn't expect. I really didn't expect. If you asked me my first year whether I thought that would happen, I'd say no. If you asked me if I'd get MVP, I'd definitely say 100% no, because I just didn't think that I could achieve all that. But like, I'm very proud of myself for that, to be honest.
You should be. That's amazing. Congratulations. The MVP game as well. That I was looking at your stats. I don't have them off the top of my head, but like I remember looking at them before the game. You weren't averaging 27 points going into that game.
I was not.
And I just thought that was, they're big moments, like that game and the finals and the playoffs, like they're big moments. And it seems like you, if you hadn't told me that as well, I would say you look like you thrive on the big stage. I would never have thought you were like nervous before, or having overcome that, because you look so comfortable in those big situations.
It's quite interesting, really, because at the beginning of the season, it gets us to do these things like targets we want to achieve for the end of the season. And we went through it at the end of the season and the end of this season. And my target was to control my nerves, especially in big games. And he said to me, like, I've had my best games. The biggest games I've had have been my best games, which is it's quite weird. Yeah. But it's also quite good.
Yeah. It shows that you've done it.
Yeah.
Like 3-point win in a final in the last game for you at under 18s. That's you can't really get bigger than that, can you? And you're just, I've got it. That's amazing. That's amazing. So is there a particular player or team that when you're facing off against them, or that you've played against, that you're excited to play against because you think it's going to be really like a fun battle, or maybe someone that you've looked up to for a few years and been able to play against them?
For teams overall, I think playing against Cola, obviously, that's my favorite team to play, because you just never know how it's going to go, especially under 18s. Like, it's never, we're definitely going to win. It's a game where you just have to play and see what happens.
Yeah.
So I think they're definitely the team that I like going up against the most. And they've got a lot of players who play similar. Like, I feel like I play similar to how some of them play, in the sense like driving and like not shooting as much.
Yeah.
So like there are some plays that I do watch like in their other games, just to see like how they manage like not shooting, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the team I play for was very heavy on shooters.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting to see how other people play.
No, that's great. And do you have a particular basketball role model, or a role model just in general? Can
they be someone from my team?
Yeah, of course.
Susanna. Do you know Susanna?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. She plays for Colombia in America at the moment.
Yeah.
But she's definitely, like, I've known her for a very long time, and I've seen her develop. And seeing that has also made me like very motivated, and I kind of want to be like her, really, because I think she's just such a great player, and she's always been there for me. Like, she's always been the one to give me advice and stuff like that on and off court. So definitely my biggest role model.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And when you see someone like that does that, especially like you say, coming through your club, that's even better, isn't it? Special. So what would you like to be doing, say, with basketball in 5 years' time? Is it something that you'd like to continue doing? Would you maybe like to go play in Europe if you could, or are you just enjoying the moment and seeing what comes?
So at the moment, I'm just enjoying it and seeing what comes, because obviously, like I said, I didn't play in my first year, so I didn't expect to want to take it seriously at all. So now that I've decided now I want to, it's kind of overwhelming, because I don't really know where I want to go or what I want to do. I definitely want to like continue playing at a high level after this next season. Hopefully go to States if I can. So I think for now, though, I'm just seeing how things go and what will be really.
No, that's a good way of doing it as well. What do you like doing outside of basketball? I know you mentioned you probably have very little time outside of basketball. What do you like to do when you got a bit of free time?
It's a very good question. I think when I've got a bit of free time, really, I just watch basketball. Like, it's pretty much all I really do. Like, basketball, gym, and work. That's literally my life. Like, that's all I can do. I mean, I would love to be able to do athletics when I'm not playing basketball, but it's quite hard because there's just no time. So
yeah,
I only really do that.
I'm gonna say it takes over your life, I think, sometimes, isn't it?
It really does, but I don't mind. I enjoy it.
So if someone was going to watch you, and how would you describe your game, or your, if you like, I've got a go-to move, or what would you describe yourself as?
I would just say I'm fast.
You are.
Like, I would just say I think I play quite fast. I think I play fairly good defense as well. Very, like, quite aggressive on the ball. So yeah, like the best way I could describe myself is literally just fast. Everything I do, I think, is just fast.
I think a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
So next season you'll be going into, so you'll still be able to play WEABL, is that right?
Yeah.
And Division 1, obviously,
yeah.
under 18s. Are you looking forward to next season?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next season. I really want to see how far we can go with the WEABL, because we haven't been to the finals yet. For the past 2 seasons, we've got so close every time. There's just that one game before we don't seem to do as well. So I think this season, I think we can achieve quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot in the WEABL. And then with women's, I'm quite excited to see where that goes. We've got Harriet back as well, which will be really nice.
Just announced in the last week or so. That's going to be really exciting.
It will. I can't wait to watch her play as well. I haven't seen her play in ages, in person. So I think it'll be really nice.
And it's great as well when a player like that kind of goes away, gets some more experience, and brings it back to where where she grew up with it. It's going to be
100%.
So I think that probably does it. But one last question: if people are going to come to Ipswich and they're going to watch your game, what should they do before they watch your game? What's like a great thing to do in Ipswich?
No, that's a really good question, because I always tell people there's nothing to do here. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, the best thing you can do is take a walk down the docks, really. Have a look at the scenery. Yeah, that's Sorry?
They can do that. They can have a walk and then come watch you play.
Yeah. Then I recommend just leave, really. There's not really much else to do.
So the Ipswich Tourist Board might not use that in some adverts, but great. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Yazmin. It's been really exciting to hear about your basketball journey so far, and best of luck with the next season.
Thank you for having me.